Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be, I would assume, a very controversial live stream, given the figure that we're talking about, given the organization that we're talking about, and given that it is going to be focused around a religious aspect. I do expect this to be a very controversial stream, but I'm going to give you my honest opinion about this. I'm going to give you my honest opinion about Michael Voris, the revelations that have come out about Michael Voris, and I am also going to give you my thoughts on Church Militant as a whole. So we probably need to go ahead and set things up, explain who Michael Voris is, what Church Militant is. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Michael Voris was the head of a group called Church Militant. Church Militant is an organization. It is a Catholic organization that is focused on exposing priests, bishops in the Catholic Church for bad behavior, for hypocrisy, for a whole number of sometimes even getting into criminal behavior. They have exposed people like McCarrick, who was a notable child abuser. I have to watch the way that I phrase things because we are on YouTube and YouTube doesn't like certain phrases, but a horrible person that took advantage of children in a way that I think you guys understand what I'm saying. They have exposed Catholic bishops, Catholic priests for secret gay lifestyles. And whether you agree or disagree with that whole lifestyle, that's not what we're here to talk about. That's not what we're here to discuss in this live stream. That's not the point of this live stream. The point of this live stream is really to point out the hypocrisy here at Church Militant, and specifically with Michael Voris. Now, they have been known to go after Pope Francis for some of his quote-unquote communist, quote-unquote socialist behaviors. Even though, to me, when I look at Pope Francis and when I hear what he talks about when it comes to things like helping the poor, changing the economic systems to help the poor, to make things more inclusive for everybody, to try and fight back against poverty. I don't see anything communistic about that at all. To me, that's just what Jesus was preaching about, which is to help the poor. And I don't know, some Christians really just seem to have an issue with things that help the poor. I don't get it. And I do want to state right on the onset, I am a Christian. I consider myself to be a Christian. I am not a Catholic. And to be honest with you, I probably would consider myself unaffiliated with any denomination at this point. Technically, I guess I'm part of I guess I'm a Baptist, but I don't really attend church regularly. If I was to be honest about my beliefs and where I think they line up, I think I'd more likely line up with the Eastern Orthodox Church, specifically some of the more mystic elements of the Christian Orthodox Church, some Christian mysticism that's in that sector of Christianity. Unfortunately, I live in America and there's not a lot of Eastern Orthodox churches to be found. So it's very difficult to find a denomination. I think the nearest one is probably an hour away from where I live, an hour's drive away. And, you know, it is what it is. But if I had to be honest about my beliefs and my stances, I would say that I probably line up more with Eastern Orthodoxy more than anything else. But I do consider myself to be a Christian. So, and I have watched Church Militant in the past. I've seen some of their reporting. You know, they've done some stuff to expose some people that, you know, especially when it comes to crimes against children. I think that that's been a very important goal, a very important mission to do that. But then at the same time, they've also gone after priests and bishops for having accounts on Grindr. I think there's one Monsignor they even called Monsignor Grindr. They've gone after the Pope for a whole myriad of stuff. And what we're about to talk about here today, the revelations about Michael Voris's lifestyle. And let's be clear about something. Michael Voris is the face of Church Militant. And I think now that he has fallen from grace, I think that organization is at the moment on life support and is probably going to end up collapsing. I would say at some point without Michael Voris there. So let's look at the title of this video. Michael Voris resigns after a gay affair with Milo Yiannopoulos and other men. Okay. So this is a man who has gone after Catholic priests, Catholic bishops for secret gay lifestyles, and it's come out that Michael Voris himself has had a secret gay lifestyle. I do remember that Milo Yiannopoulos, because you got to remember, Milo Yiannopoulos was openly gay for many, many years before he had a quote-unquote conversion to Catholicism. This casts serious doubt on whether that conversion was actually legitimate or not, sincere. But he, he was a prominent, openly gay man. And he ended up joining Church Militant. And as we learn here, apparently he did not turn away from his old lifestyle and continued it with Michael Voris. And Michael Voris has apparently been doing this with other men. Now, there has been some stories that have come out from people that have worked at Church Militant that paint this in an even worse light. Beyond just mere hypocrisy. And there has been stories coming out that apparently he was grooming a employee of Church Militant. Now, this person was not underage. Excuse me. This person was not underage, thank God. But it was a young adult man of legal age, but he was being groomed by Michael Voris regardless. And there is, of course, a power dynamic there where Michael is his employer. So Michael Voris going on camera and complaining about bishops and priests grooming people, and then here he is doing the same thing to one of his own employees. Hypocrisy at the highest degree. There has been stories about him having an extravagant salary while at the same time paying his employees poverty wages, which honestly doesn't surprise me because let's be honest about something. The Christian right in this country, while they're really strong on the social issues, when it comes to economics, they worship the dollar. They worship capitalism. They don't worship Christ. Their God is capitalism. They put capitalism on the podium that Christ should be standing on. Their God is capitalism. So it does not surprise me that a man like this would not give a damn about his employees, not give a damn about paying them what I would consider to be a fair wage. That doesn't surprise me whatsoever. Does not surprise me whatsoever. I have seen this over and over and over. This is one reason why I'm not affiliated with any religion, especially, I'm not affiliated with any Christian denomination, I should say, especially not a Protestant denomination, because I've seen too many guys in suits with fake smiles going around just money, 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 money. That's all they're about. And it's creepy. Like, it's really creepy. So that doesn't surprise me either. The more that comes out, the more that it's being revealed that Michael Voris was scummy in a lot of ways. And beyond that, the board at Church Militant was trying to protect him, which again is very hypocritical because they talk about how the hierarchy in the Catholic Church will protect these bishops when they're exposed for, these secret lifestyles, or even worse, when they are found to be engaged in criminal activity with children. They will talk about how there is a cover-up network in the church to protect these priests and bishops. And then at the same time, here we have at Church Militant a cover-up network protecting Michael Voris. So the hypocrisy cannot be understated. And because Michael Voris has been so adamant against these bishops for doing the same things that he himself has been doing, not only is he a hypocrite, a liar, a deceiver, but it makes it really hard to feel any sympathy for the guy. Now, as a Christian, I have to believe in forgiveness by default. It's part of the tenets of the faith. But it makes it real hard to get to that point of forgiving this guy. Michael Voris should go away and never speak publicly again. And his actions have probably doomed Church Militant. And this is another example of what I've said in other videos on my other channels and I've said in live streams with people, is that the right has this very bad tendency to elevate certain personalities and faces to the point of being a cult. While they claim to worship Jesus Christ, oftentimes they put other people on the pedestal of Jesus Christ. Most recently, I've been talking about the independent comic book creator Eric July and how there's a cult forming around him. There's also a cult of Trump. That's probably the most prominent recent example. There's a cult of Ronald Reagan on the right. And every time that these people inevitably fall short of expectations, because we're all human, it makes the right look really, 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 really dumb. And for a lot of people, there was a cult surrounding Michael Voris, especially when it came to Catholics. And now it makes you look really, 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 really dumb. Stop creating these cults of personality. I've said it before. I will continue to say it. We must stop creating cults of personality. We must stop elevating these people to these pedestals of an almost religious nature. It has to stop. All right, so let's actually dive into this video. This is the Michael Voris resignation video. I don't know if he put this out on Twitter or this may have been put on the Church Militant website. I'm not sure, but it was re-uploaded by William Parkinson, 1891. Go check him out. Go check out his channel, and shout out to him for re-uploading this onto YouTube. So we're going to watch this video. This is the Michael Voris resignation video, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more. And you may have noticed down at the bottom of the screen, above my financial information, which you can go and support if you want to help support this channel and my other channels as well, because I do have a gaming channel and a pop culture channel. I do have the verses of Matthew chapter 7, verses 3 through 5, which we're going to bring up at the end of the stream because it's the best verse for this situation. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into this video, and we'll discuss more about it.
Obviously, the ongoing storm that unfortunately I'm at the center of. When we started, actually when I founded St. Michael's Media 18 years ago, a little bit more than 18 years ago, and then started...
Hold on, let me start this at the beginning. I'm sorry. All right, here we go.
Hello everyone, Michael Voris here from Church Militant St. Michael's Media. I'd like to address, obviously, the ongoing storm that unfortunately I'm at the center of. When we started, actually when I founded St. Michael's Media 18 years ago, a little bit more than 18 years ago, and then started accruing staff and getting bigger, the whole point of the apostolate was simply to just teach Catholic faith. Things that have been absent, obviously. You guys know the story. We never imagined that it would just sort of keep growing and then becoming this bigger and larger thing. It was just for the first 3 years a local TV show here in Detroit that we used to actually play on a Protestant station, the One True Faith. Since that time, obviously, it's grown and all of that. I'd like to speak, if I could, for just a moment to the mission of it. Nothing that I have done or anybody else over the years has done has altered that mission one iota. The mission is always and remains the salvation of souls. There have been failings in that area with regard to me, my own personal behavior, not just the most recent stuff here, but all sorts of other things that I don't want to make excuses because there isn't any for what I've done. There aren't any for what I've done, but there are, and I will just touch on it briefly so you have an idea of where I'm coming from with this. There are, sometimes it takes very horrible events, even at your own hand, in your life to surface certain things that need to be faced. There are some very, very ugly truths from my past that I, for essentially 62 years, have avoided facing because I didn't want to. I wanted them resolved, but I understand that touching that pain is going to be a very horrible thing. And so I am looking at what is happening right now as an opportunity to, God-given, even if you could call it a dark grace or black grace, that's kind of one of those pseudo-theological expressions, seems to be appropriate here. So there are things I have to go away and address and work on. They are, again, horrible, ugly things. I'm not going to share them. Nobody else's business except mine. The consequences of me not dealing with those obviously are some people's business, and that's what I'm making this video for, to be able to say that, first of all, for anybody who has been impacted in a well, you wouldn't be impacted, I suppose, in a positive way, but any sort of negative way, you have my deepest heartfelt apologies. The most sincere. There's nothing I can say to make it good. I can't. So to the extent that I can say and be completely upfront about it, that is true. Likewise, I have never, even in the midst of all of this, ever thought that the Catholic Church is not the one true faith. It's established by the eternal Logos, the incarnate eternal Logos for our salvation. That remains absolutely firm set in me. I have never wavered from that, even in my past, my 30s, I suppose you could say. Even though in the midst of all that sin for years and years and years and years, I never didn't think that. I've always believed that. I believe that now. I have never not believed that. So if anybody is, I suppose, weak faith, as St. Paul might say, is troubled by my failings vis-a-vis how it might impact your faith, don't be. I have, and to this day, I remain standing here right now in front of you. The Catholic Church is established by Jesus Christ for our salvation, and outside of her there is no salvation. That doesn't mean, of course, that her members, and I'm talking about me, always live up to that. That's why our Lord made confession, for goodness sakes. But to that end, that is exactly what Church Militant has been preaching, St. Michael's Media has been preaching from its very first moment when I signed the documents to begin the 501c corporation. Actually, even before that, because I already bought some of the equipment and everything beforehand. I believe it's already known information that obviously I've resigned all of my leadership responsibilities and roles and whatever with regard to having any input or vision, any of that stuff. The mission is the mission. Nothing touches the mission. Every one of us as a Catholic has that mission, regardless if you belong to an apostolate or you're just living at home with your family. It's the salvation of souls. That's not something unique to our apostolate. How we exercise it, of course, that is what I am stepping away from. I have, in truth, as I've shared with a number of people, very close friends over the last number of days, in one sense, I'm kind of relieved that I, anyway, personally have reached this point. I have been looking at the ugliness surfacing inside, have not liked it for a number of times. In my head, I had written my resignation letter already a handful of times this year. So I am, and like I said, in one sense, kind of relieved. I need to conquer these demons. And I'm not talking about just act out demons. That's a symptom. It's horrible, it's awful, it's sinful. I am not downplaying it at all. What I'm saying is the underlying cause of it has been too ugly for me to look at. It involves an awful lot of, in one sense for me, like spiritual terror, and I've not wanted to go near it because of because. So, that said, I have spent the last couple of days or so, few days, looking for and talking to people who I believe can help me face this and professionally. So I am going to, I don't want to use the word retreat, but I'm going to step away from the camera and I'm going to go concentrate on that. If, as I said, if it has taken this kind of bad event to bring this about, I was talking to a close friend just a few minutes before shooting this, and I said, if our Lord has tried to put me in a position in my past life, at any point, many times, to make me look at this stuff, well, I missed it. And if I did miss it, I missed it because I was terrified to look at it, to look at all of it. It's massively extensive, and that's probably another reason why I just said I can't do this, and I don't even know where to go. It's all very horribly embarrassing. Again, I'm not talking about acting out stuff. I'm talking about stuff much, much, much deeper than all of that. So I have a obligation as a Catholic man to go present myself to God when I do, whenever that moment arrives, his decision, of course, and say that I did the best that I could up to this point, my 62 years. I haven't. I have been, without touching the objective truth of what we have done at St. Michael's Media for all of these years, without touching that, I have not had the courage to face the truth of my own stuff. And so, however it came about, I'm now propelled into that, and I intend to take full advantage of this. All of that said, I want to beg and plead with you, do not let the moral failings, the fear, all of my stuff move over onto the apostolate. I am out of the apostolate, specifically so there will be a very clear separation there. That work and the staff there of 40, I don't remember what it is now, more than 40 people deserve your continued support, even more so, actually, to be honest, even more so. They are obviously hurt by all of this, and their work can't be diminished because their former leader failed. So I would beg and plead and pray with you to please continue that support for them. That mission can never go away. It just can't. It's way too important. And let me underscore that personally here with a wrapping up thought. Had I, right now, not had the love and the concern of those around me who are exhibiting that to me because of our Catholic faith, and the people that I have turned to help also because of their Catholic faith, had I not had the church to be there, that's my church, and it's the church, but everybody has an experience of church. That's my experience, the people around me, and the people I'm going to. Had I not had that, I'm not sure what would have happened to It's a spiritual battle. Grace builds on nature. My nature, my truths from my deep, deep, deep past are greatly damaged, and those need fixing and addressing. I would not be doing that if it weren't for my faith. So I am going to exhibit a trust in God that all of my very close friends know I have had deep issues with trusting God. Not believing, for me personally, trusting. Big difference. So I am going to trust that God will do what God needs to do, because I'm going to stand in front of him as his completely just wrecked son and say, here I am. It took me 62 years to get here. So I have no doubt that if I do what he wants, it will turn out the way he wills. My will has been I don't want to do it for 60 years. His will is do it, so do it. And there I go. So I would ask you then for just two things, please, and I don't have a right to ask for anything. But first of all, your prayers for me and for the apostolate, people particularly in the apostolate who've been, most hurt, damaged, affected, impacted by all my stuff, and also for your support for them and the mission as it moves forward. I'm not sure exactly when I would be back, if I'm even back in front of a camera, but until such time, I would wish you the very best. Stay strong as you can. If you've got some ugliness from your past, don't let it control you. Don't run away from it. Don't let it control you. I'm telling you right from the heart, don't let it. Satan uses everything he can get to, even wounds that weren't your fault. He finds them and he goes in for them. So with that, please continue your support for the apostolate, for St. Michael's Media, and I wish you the very best over Advent's very soon approaching, and obviously Christmas season, always a season full of hope. I will be away submitting myself to care in all of these things, and so for that I also ask you for your prayers personally for me. Thank you very much.
All right. So sorry about that. I had a problem with my microphone. Okay, so that is the resignation video from Michael Voris. That is the resignation video from Michael Voris. And there has been a number of reactions to this. And we're going to talk about a couple of them here in a bit. But what I do find to be the most laughable are the reactions from people who are allies of Michael Voris, people that have worked with Church Militant, not necessarily work with Church Militant, but are Michael Voris supporters. You know, they've come out and they said, oh, we need to give him a second chance. We need to forgive him. This should not have been exposed. This should have been kept between him and God. And I just find that to be so hypocritical to the point that it's laughable. Because I want you to think about this. How many of these bishops and these priests that have been exposed by Church Militant, how many of them, and let me be clear, I'm not talking about the ones that have committed crimes against children. Obviously, that's really, really bad. That's terrible. Screw them. I'm not talking about them, but I'm talking about the ones that had the secret gay lifestyle, you know, were on Grindr and stuff, you know, whatever the case may be. How many of them did these people and Michael Voris himself, you know, say, oh, well, we need to give them a second chance. They need forgiveness. This shouldn't have been exposed. It should have been kept between them and God. How many of you gave them the benefit of a doubt? How many of them did you give the same grace to that you're giving Michael Voris now? Obviously, none of them, because all of them got exposed by Church Militant. It is so hypocritical. And it just shows you, once again, they don't have principles. They don't have core beliefs. They only care about who's on their side. And if somebody's on their side, they'll help them. If they're not on their side, they'll attack them, which is, funnily enough, what they accuse the left of doing. And I'm not saying the left doesn't do that. Obviously, the left does, but the right does it as well. And it's like looking in a mirror. It really is. It's the pot calling the kettle black. It's extremely hypocritical. So for people that are like that, I mean, you're just being intellectually and logically dishonest. You are. Absolutely. Now, there has been some people that have worked for Church Militant that have left the organization, not only over this, but over how the organization was being run, where the organization was going, and what it was becoming about. One of them being Christine Niles. Christine Niles worked with Church Militant. She was one of the most popular faces on Church Militant, and she left the organization. She said that Michael had become absent, that he was no longer attending morning prayers, and I think Michael Voris himself said, if you want an indication of when someone's about to leave the faith, look at their prayer life. Apparently, Michael was not engaging in a prayer life. So, you know, she was, you know, she wasn't down with this. Let me actually pull up her video real quick. Give me 1 second, guys.
The official statement issued by Church Militant.
All right, so this is Christine Niles. She worked with Church Militant, and she left the organization, again, for the reasons I just stated. So she's come out. She's exposed all this stuff. She's out of there. Probably should have come out sooner. I think everybody at Church Militant should have come out sooner. But she's gone. She's left. And then we also have David Gordon from Church Militant. And I want you guys to give these videos a watch. Yeah, go check out Christine Niles' video. That video is really, really good.
David Gordon.
And then I also want you to go check out David Gordon's video. This one was really good. I actually just finished watching this video before I did this live stream. This one was shocking. I mean, apparently, this is where I got the information about the groomer stuff. This is where I got the information that apparently somebody walked into an employee. I think it was an employee walked into Michael's house, and there was like pornography on there of a gay orgy and just all sorts of stuff. Like he was sending There was being nudes exchanged. There was an email about whacking it off to some guy. Just total and utter hypocrisy. But go check out these videos. And you'll see, like, Michael Voris really just needs to go away. And probably Church Militant as an organization is going to end up going away because, let's be honest here, this organization, its foundation, as much as they like to claim, was Jesus Christ. It really was Michael Voris. Again, putting a person, a human being, on the pedestal of the Son of God, where the Son of God should be. And we do it on the right over and 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 over again. And it's something I will keep criticizing until we stop. We've done it with Michael Voris. We've done it with Ronald Reagan. You got people doing it with Eric July. Most recently, Trump. And it's got to stop. It's got to stop. But this video from David Gordon, I thought was really, 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 really good. I think you guys should definitely go check it out. This was absolutely a fantastic video. It exposes a lot. It says a lot. But we are going to wrap up this stream by with this verse that I've got at the bottom of the screen here, which is Matthew chapter 7, verses 3 through 5. So here it is. Matthew chapter 7, verses 3 through 5. Why do you see the speck in your neighbor's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye? Or how can you say to your neighbor, let me take the speck out of your eye, while the log is in your own eye? You hypocrite. First take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your neighbor's eye. So, here's the commentary on that verse. Nothing else this passage demonstrates clearly that Jesus did in fact have a rich sense of humor, which is something I've always said. I've always said that God has a sense of humor. The image here is intentionally exaggerated for comic effect, but the point is important. It ties directly to the statement that begins the chapter. Do not judge so that you may not be judged. It is all too easy to expend our energy on judging others, but we are seeing through human eyes, which means our perspective is at least as flawed as theirs. Our first priority is to remove human obstacles from our own spiritual sight. When we do, what we see is not what others are doing, but rather what we can do to support their own efforts to see clearly. How do we remove the log from our own eye? Prayer and meditation and willingness. If our intention is to see clearly ourselves, not to impose our flawed visions and judgments onto others, the energy of God will guide us effortlessly in that process. For years and years and years, Michael Voris was calling out other people's sins, other people's lifestyles, while at the same time having his own secret lifestyle. It's hypocritical to the nth degree. I don't know what else to say. The man has lost all credibility. And because Church Militant was so centered around Michael Voris, I think it's safe to say that Church Militant itself has also lost all credibility. I have seen a number of people in the comment sections of videos talking about this who have been premium members of Church Militant. And let me go ahead and say for the record, even though I have never been a Catholic, I too was also a premium member of Church Militant at one point. I ended up leaving because I didn't like the direction that the organization was going. This was months ago. This was months before all this stuff came out. But I have seen that in the light of this recent scandal, a lot of people have decided to pull their memberships from Church Militant. So that is going to really affect the financial situation of that organization. And I don't think it survives. And this is what happens when you build your group, your belief, your principles around a person that is not God. This ends up happening. You get a cult. You no longer have a religion. You have a cult. And it's their own fault. and it's the fault of Michael Voris. And I feel sorry for some of the employees working there that had no involvement in this, but it is what it is. I don't see it recovering. I don't see it coming back. And every time something like this happens, that we create these cults of personality, and the personality that the cult is centered around ends up always falling short, ends up always collapsing. It always pushes back the movement, the right-wing movements in this country even more. Every time. And we don't seem to learn our lesson. We just want to create these celebrities, these right-wing celebrities that we can take orders from. Please think for us, Michael. Please think for us, Reagan. Please think for us, Trump. Please think for us, Eric. Please we don't want to use our brain. Just think for us and give us orders and tell us what to do. It's every single time with this nonsense. And it's the same thing that the right accuses the left of, and they're doing it themselves. And I'm starting to think, between the cultism of the left and the cultism of the right, it's becoming pretty obvious to me that there's not a lot of people in America that know how to think for themselves, which probably is one explanation, one of the reasons why this country is in such a mess that it's in. But anyways, that is going to wrap up this video. Of course, as a Christian myself, I have to say that I do want Michael Voris to find forgiveness. But at the same time, a lot of the people that Church Militant has gone after, I hope they too also find forgiveness. And it just makes it really hard to get to that point of feeling any kind of sympathy or mercy towards the man, because he showed very little to the people that he and his organization went after. Very little. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll see what happens. But that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. Much appreciated. Of course, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And the information to help support the channel financially is there as well. Check out my other channels as well. All of my social media is linked down in the description box down below. Tell me what you think about this situation. Tell me what you think about the Michael Voris situation. Do you think Church Militant survives this? I personally don't. I think there is a good chance that within the next year we could see this organization, if not disappear, go into practical obscurity. But I think their time as this huge movement on the right, this huge entity on the right, I think is pretty much over. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. This is JeskerJames, and I am signing out.